we're gonna move on to a next debate. This was actually thrown out by one of our followers, one of our viewers. If Trevor Hoffman was on the Yankees and Mariano Rivera was on the Padres, what would their stats look like? Would they have each other's stats, or would they have the same stats they have now? What is your view on that one?
Who, me?
I don't know how they could
Anybody.
have the same. I don't know how they could have the same. Like, how do I want to say this? I don't know how they couldn't have each other's stats for the most part, if that makes sense.
So you're saying they're the same guy. They're interchangeable. If you put Hoffman on the Yankees, then he has the same amount of saves as Rivera.
Exactly the same? No, probably not. Probably not. But I think he's a dominant closer that is looked at. I mean, he's still looked at as one of the best. But, I mean, I think if it's flipped and he plays his career in New York, I think you're looking at Trevor Hoffman going, no doubter, Hall of Famer, dominant, anchor of a team that won a bunch of World Series. Like, I think you're saying the same things about Trevor Hoffman that you're saying about Mariano Rivera. Maybe he doesn't have the exact same numbers because I do think Rivera was dominant, unless he's playing the Red Sox, but dominant.
Except against
I
Boston.
don't know. He did. I don't want to say suck, but he struggled. I mean, it was a struggle.
It was
Red
tough.
Sox were a struggle for him. I just think about how many more opportunities Trevor Hoffman would have had.
He would have had 60 more opportunities. I have it written out. So Hoffman had had 677 save opportunities. Rivera had 732.
Yep.
Okay. And so Hoffman had how many? 600 and what?
77.
So he had 601 for 677. So what is that? I'm a history guy. That's what? 76 blown saves?
Yeah, they both converted about 89% of their save chances. They were pretty consistent there. Hoffman was like 89-1, Rivera was like 89-3, but they were both in the 89% range.
So then I retract my previous statement. Yes, they are interchangeable. But they are the same guy. if we're looking now again, you know, me not relying fully on stats, but to rely on stats on this, yes, I think if that's the case, if they're both relatively right under 90% for their career as far as save conversions, then yeah, I think you give Trevor Hoffman the New York Yankees, those lineups, those starting pitchers to get behind. Yeah, I think so.
I think the one hard part in that number, though, Nick, is the fact that Mariano Rivera played one more season. He had 19 seasons. Hoffman had 18. So some of those came because he had one extra season. But if you were to Sean's point, I think if you were to put those guys in the same number of opportunities and swap places, I think they literally would just swap stats. I think those two were equally dominant. And the funny thing is they did it differently. Hoffman was dominant with a changeup. Rivera was dominant with that nasty mid-90s cutter, low to mid-90s cutter. But they both threw one pitch the majority of the time, and you just couldn't hit the damn thing. Like you just couldn't do it. Yeah. Couldn't hit it.
Hoffman only had 9 games in 2003 too, so that's another kind of gap in that he lost those opportunities. Right. But
I think where Rivera shined too is in the postseason. Rivera was lights out in the postseason. Hoffman had 4 saves in 12 appearances. They weren't all save opportunities, but like not nearly as many chances, but also not quite the same level of conversion either in the playoffs, where Rivera was, when they needed him in the playoffs, again, except against the Red Sox in 2003 or 2004, I mean. 2003 is a whole nother story. In 2004, Rivera was lights out in the playoffs, but he was there every season, where Hoffman wasn't.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Forrest?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have covered it pretty well, but I mean, a save opportunity is just, the table's set, and you come in and clear the table. Like you said, Rivera had many, many more opportunities. And so, switching Hoffman over to New York, he's just going to have all those opportunities. But at the same time, I mean, Rivera's a Sandman. He's going to put you to sleep no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
Ain't that true?
But I do think
Yeah.
Hoffman ends up with more. I just don't know. I wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
say
what-
how much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and it is hard to say because would Hoffman be able to handle the New York pressure? Like you have the intangibles too. Not saying that he
Sure.
couldn't, but like, what could Hoffman vibe with that team? Could Rivera vibe with the Padres team? Would the Padres use Rivera different? Would Hoffman be used different in New York? Again,
Yeah.
all hypothetical, but you just don't know.
you look at a
But-
guy like Wetland, who the Yankees kind of misused for a while as a setup guy, because that's where he slotted in best, and then he became an elite closer when he left town. It's funny because San Diego and New York are not the same places. Pressure's not the same. Opportunity's not the same. But also, you think of all the additional pitches Rivera threw in his career by being in all those postseason games when Hoffman was playing golf. That
Mhm.
also takes a toll on your arm. And Rivera never missed time. He just never seemed to miss time.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's valid. And I think the intangible part about like playing in New York, not just playing in New York, being the closer in New York for a dominant dynasty. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is something that you cannot compare to really anything else. Just simple statistically, though, I mean, they're close. I mean, Mariano's career whip is 1.000. So walks, hits per inning pitch, guy essentially base runners on base per inning. Trevor Hoffman's right there. It's like 1.09 or something. So it's not as though, Hoffman's loading the bases and, finagling his way out of these. I mean, he was
a heart
as
attack closer
dominant
like
as you
Kim
could
Brell,
get.
right, Sean?
Yeah, seriously. Give me chaos, man. Like I said, give me the chaos. I love that shit. But, Hoffman was just, right there. It's kind of 1A, 1B. I don't know. I think if you give a guy like that just seems so cool under pressure, I would have a hard time thinking he could not handle New York. I bet he would do just fine. But yeah, Mariano was it.
Yeah. So when I was doing this research on the train home from New York this weekend, I was looking at the save conversion percentage. Eric Gagne, during that stretch, he was 161 out of 167. He converted 96.4% of his saves in that stretch. Insane. Yeah, I was like, what? That's nuts. Absolutely crazy. And then gets to the Red Sox and sucks. But that's another story.
Forgot how to pitch.
Yeah.
Completely forgot how to pitch. I mean,
forgot.
that was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
That was
I mean,
a disaster.
yeah.
Completely
How
forgot
come
how to
everybody
pitch in
sucks
Boston.
against the Red Sox?
No, he was
He
on the
sucked
Red
for
Sox.
the Red Sox.
Yeah, he
sucked
came to
for-
Boston. He was terrible.
Holy
Yeah.
Gotcha.
moly.
Okay.
Oh,
He
it was
was-
awful.
I wake up with sweats every now and again from some of those appearances. That was horrific.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, that was absolutely nuts. But
Happens to a lot of
Yeah.
them.